send out. Fantastic. I'm recording. Now we'll have this great content to share. All right, guys. So once again, thanks for joining. We have today we've got quite a blend of participants in this virtual open house. We've got families, we have parents, students, and even a number of our international partners from many countries around the world: Latin America, Africa, Europe, the US, Canada. So this is very exciting for us to be able to share. Today, the purpose of this open house is not only to give you all an introduction to IDA, International Development Academy, but it's really to give a platform to our newest partner, King's InterHigh, that we are so excited to work with, because this is a huge step for us as we continue to pursue our goal of being the most comprehensive football and education program in the world. Miko and Gareth both are heavily involved in the international side of the organization, working with families and partners on the admission side. So when it comes to the knowledge of the program, the process, and all the details, they are by far the two best people to talk to. So we're excited to give them the platform. I will take just about 15 minutes and run through IDA. And then I'm just going to hand it over to Miko and Gareth, and they'll take it from there. And at the end, we'll just open it up for short question and answering. In the meantime, feel free to ask questions in the chat. We've got a couple of staff members who are live on the chat, and if we can answer your questions live, we will. And if not, let's make sure to get them answered at the end. All right. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and get started. Again, we're going to start right with IDA. I mentioned our goal and our mission is to be the world's most comprehensive football and education program. Okay, to sum it up, our pillars: football, education, global pathways. Those three areas really sum up all that we're about. We want to use the game, we want to use sports, we want to use education to transform the lives of our student athletes. And that combination of both of those, we want to use that to open doors internationally for their lives. Okay, so we have worked for over 30 years in the sports and education industry. And we've worked with thousands of student athletes from around the world on helping them get to the next level in their career, in their development, and their journey. Okay, now that may be different for every single student athlete. Not every student athlete is going to be a professional, but that's why education is so important. Okay, just a little about me. Again, my name is Rick Angelo Cola. I'm the Director of Global Development for IDA. I gave a lot of my life to pursuing my goals as a football player. I'm very passionate about education as well, which really changed my life. So the last 10 years of my life, after I hung up the boots as a player myself, I've devoted that to the sports and education industry, which ultimately has led me to IDA and working with this wonderful organization. So a little bit about IDA's programs and services. Okay, I'm going to keep this brief and really general. Our main area of focus, and especially this is very important today because this is where we are partnering, and the main aspect we're partnering with King's InterHigh. Okay, first and foremost, we have our international residential academies. Okay, the residential academies are full-time residential program structured very much like a boarding school, where we welcome students from 15 to 20 different countries around the world. They're living on campus with us at our campus. They are a full-time student and they are a full-time athlete. Okay, the way that it is structured, again, like a boarding school, however, it's highly specialized with football and education. So it's not, the day-to-day is not structured like a traditional school. We are very specialized and customized for those student athletes that are looking to invest more time and energy into both their football. It requires more time, flexibility, but also without sacrificing their educational needs and staying in line with their development. Okay, apart from our International Residential Academy programs, we offer short-term camps and groups and team tours as well. So we welcome student athletes from around the world from anywhere from a week, where they can have a great experience for up to a month or 2 months at a time during the summer, that just want to do training. They can continue their education, or if they want a short-term experience, get out of their comfort zone and have a great time. Moving on here, the university scholarships and pathways, this is very, very important to us, because everything that we do at IDA is structured around what's next. Okay, we're not just a program where a student is going to come, they're going to have a great time, they're going to play some very good football, and they're going to come home with not a lot to show for it. Okay, we are the opposite. Everything that we do, how we're structured, the resources, the staff, the tools in place, they are there to empower our student athletes and open doors once they graduate IDA's program. Those pathways could be directly into the US university system with a scholarship. It could be going directly into university in Europe, continuing to play for a club team, or it could be right into the professional level. As I mentioned before, every single student athlete is different. We have the resources and the tools and the network to kind of piece together what we need to maximize their experience. I touched on the pro pathways for elite players. This is something that is very possible and realistic, but it's not something that we are really pushing or selling, so to speak, because the truth is that in today's game, in today's world, less than 1% of athletes truly have the profile, the talent, the resources, everything it takes to get that professional contract by age 17 or 18, right? When they finish that 17th or 18th year and they're expecting a contract, less than 1% of the world really have what it takes, right? So it's not something where you'll see a lot of programs kind of promising that pro dream. That is absolutely realistic within our platform. We've had many players go professional, but the value that we focus on is the platform, the development, and the education. The professional pathway and the opportunities are just a result and a byproduct of the system and the programming. Okay. Last but not least, I always touch on this. We have things like international tournaments and events, and we even partner with schools and clubs around the world to provide those resources. Okay, so that is us in a nutshell. To sum it up, what we're all about: opportunities and experiences. It's that simple. Our goal is to help ambitious student athletes meet their athletic and their educational goals in our world-class environment. Everything we do, we want to be world-class. We want to be the best in every area, which is why we partner with organizations like King's InterHigh. Okay, so just moving on here, what makes us different at IDA? I call it the IDA difference. Okay, so our HQ is actually based in Boston. In the US, we've got a team around the country in the US. We're heavily integrated in the US university system, the football system. We've got, as I mentioned, over 30 years of experience in every level of the system in the US, but we're also heavily integrated in Europe. So we have locations all over Europe. We have partners all over Europe. And what does this enable us to do? We really can accommodate the needs and really ensure that the correct resources, the types of experiences, and especially the exit opportunities for all of our student athletes are in place, no matter what profile they have. So if they prefer Europe, if they prefer US, if they need a little bit of both to maximize their development, we have the tools and the resources to be able to piece that together and customize an experience. Okay, so I mentioned we have locations all around Europe. Here's a breakdown of where we're located, where these are the options of our campuses where student athletes can choose to do their program. Okay, in the heart of Reading, England, we are very close to, almost on the beautiful campus at Reading University. In Valencia, Spain, we're 15 minutes right outside the heart of the city. In Rome, Italy, in the heart of Rome. And in Boston, Massachusetts, obviously close to our HQ, right? So we've got a blend of locations, and we're unable to announce this yet, but we are continuing to expand and should have some exciting news here within the next couple of months. All right, so I know I'm moving quick, but I want to make sure I give enough time to our partners. The next section Again, if you have any questions, make sure you drop them in the chat box, because we're going to get into a little bit more information. All right, I touched on our residential academy programs. I want to open this up and just kind of walk you through what's included. What does this experience look like? Okay, so we work in the full-time environment with student athletes starting from 15 years old, and we actually work with student athletes all the way up to 23 years old as well. Okay, this includes private accommodations, meals. It's a very comprehensive program and experience. The student athletes are getting 12 to 15 hours a week of training, so it's very intensive and immersive. They're essentially living the life of a pro athlete and a very, very high level, almost a collegiate level university student as well. The full year season includes 60 plus games per week. And we give personalized and tailored academic programs, right, in both the US and the UK curriculum. And that's what we're going to be talking about today with King's InterHigh. We integrate our players into the local system, which is very, very important. Okay, because we have a lot of international players coming in, having this experience together, but also the integration with the local system, the culture. We want to use and leverage what the local system has to offer, which is why we chose these incredible destinations, not only for the football, but the culture and the history. We harness all of that and integrate that into their day-to-day experience, because everything, as I mentioned before, is set in place to prepare them for what's next. If it's a university, they're going to be on their own. They're going to be building new relationships. They're going to be meeting people in different cultures. So an experience like this really helps set them up for success and makes that transition to what's next a little bit easier when they enroll at their next university or their university. We record every single game that they play, and that's very important because during their time with us, we're using all of this footage to help promote them to universities in the US for the college placement, the scholarship process. Okay, so if you can imagine 60 matches against top level European competition, every game is video recorded. All of that footage can be prepared. That's what we send to the coaches, the 300 plus university level coaches and clubs that we have in our network. We're communicating on our student athletes' behalf to open as many doors as possible. Last but not least, including not just football, but performance training, holistic development like strength and conditioning, nutrition, even some coaching and methodology training for the game. We are very focused, obviously, on the player as an athlete. We're focused on the student, but just as important, it's about the personal and the character development as well, right? If they're coming to our program, they're just training as a football player, they're just learning knowledge, but they're not being stretched, they're not growing as a young man or a young woman, then in our opinion, we're not doing our jobs as well, right? Our vision is to create global ambassadors who are going to make an impact in this world. A sample day, what does it actually translate to? How does it actually look? Here's a sample of what it could look like. Obviously, there's some ebb and flow and a little bit of room for flexibility based on the scheduling on the ground, but you're looking at breakfast, training right away. You're looking at 90 minutes to 2 hours of training in the morning, right into a performance session. It could be the strength and conditioning. It could be the nutrition. They could be analyzing video, but this is that time where they're really dedicating to the holistic development, not on the field, not just in the classroom, but more holistic. And you've got lunch, a little bit of rest. And this part right here is incredibly important for me to highlight. Okay, because a lot of families and parents are asking, but what about, I know my son or my daughter loves football. I want to help them support their dream. However, what about education? What about their academics? We have to stay on them every single day to do their homework, and they're in our house. What assurance do we have that there's going to be time dedicated to their academics? And this is where it comes in from an IDA perspective. We have every single day dedicated and structured time that is mandatory, what we call in class, where they're doing their academic programs, right? And then we have layers of additional support and resources in place if they need flexibility, if they need more time, if they have an exam that they have to skip training for or they need to study for, that flexibility is there because, again, the education is a primary objective for us. After academics, we go right into something else that's football related. It could be another training session, could be a match during the course of the week, or if they need more time for their academics, that's where they can get more time into the evening. Then dinner and curfew, and this is important for all the moms here, curfew at 11 p.m. But our goal is, with our structure and our schedule, our players are tired. They're too tired to do anything past 11 anyways. Well, at least that's our mission. That's our mission anyways. The academic programs, very brief here. Our academics are designed for the student athletes. They're looking for world-class accredited programs, right? They need to support their schedule, create pathways towards their goals, and just make sure that they have all the resources with technology, with support and tutors, everything they need along the way. Okay, so today we want to focus on the British curriculum with InterHigh, but as a whole, we offer both the US and the British curriculum for high schoolers. We offer a gap year or a post-grad year for students that have graduated high school, but they want to take a year in between high school and university. And then for the older level students, we also offer undergraduate and master's degree programs. The short-term and training camps, I'll move on pretty quickly here. These are anywhere from 1 week to a couple of months at a time. Most families, to be honest, are booking between 2 to 4 weeks. That's the most common time frame that they're looking at. And these are offered, year round, but the majority of our short-term programs are going to be delivered kind of between June all the way through summer. Okay, but this goes a little bit younger, from age 12 to 18. Again, it mirrors more or less the daily schedule of our residential academy program, and that's intentional. But the difference is you're going to see there's not going to be as an intensive game schedule. There's not going to be so much time dedicated to that sport and academics. This is going to be a little bit more around the cultural activities, engaging, going to the local stadiums. There's going to be a little bit more of that built in to the experience. Okay. Last but not least, our college scholarships and recruitment and pathways. This is very important just to touch on, because again, this is our end goal, or one of our end goals with our pathways. Okay, no matter what curriculum they're taking, that pathway to a university is so important, whether it's in the US or in Europe. So we will walk a family through every step of the way and advise them on, creating the list of the programs they're looking for, and actually how to promote themselves, speak with universities, go through the admissions process. That's all integrated into our program. Okay, so I believe I've hit my time. The rest that I have are just a few statistics that I can actually touch on here at the end of the presentation. But without further ado, I want to pass it over to Miko and Gareth. And just want to say thank you again, Miko and Gareth, for joining us. And we're excited to hear what you guys have to offer. We've had four more join us in the last couple of minutes. I'm going to go ahead and admit them. And then Miko, I am going to make you the host. Give me 1 second. Excellent. You are now the host. And just one note, if you see anybody enter the waiting room, just make sure you drop them into the call, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Really great presentation. Thank you so much, Rick. My name is Miko. Hi, everyone. I'm the International Partnerships Manager here at King's InterHigh. King's InterHigh is the UK's largest and leading online school, and we are really proud to be supporting IDA as their official academic education provider. So in the next 30 minutes, Gareth and I are just going to share with you some information about King's InterHigh, how we work, why we're special, and how we can help your students, the students here in the audience, become really successful in your studies, and what you can expect in terms of the academic outcomes as well. So I'm just going to share my screen. Can you all see that? Okay, awesome. Okay, so as I mentioned, that's me in the corner, and that's Gareth, my boss. Gareth is responsible for all education partnerships at King's InterHigh. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to introduce King's InterHigh, how we work, and also Gareth will be covering the subjects here on offer and the academic outcomes, what we can expect. Okay, so without further ado, let's dive right into the people behind King's InterHigh. So this is our academic team. They're responsible for the academic experiences that your students will have. Mr. Harold at the very top there, he's a great head, and he's a really fantastic balance of, you know, personalization and innovation in learning. He's supported by 4 heads of school. So we have Penny Alston and Fiona Henderson, who are responsible for the lower school, but more importantly, and for this particular age group, we have Katrina Olsen, who's responsible for the IGCSE 14 to 16 age group, and Mr. Paul Robinson, head of the college, which is the 16 to 18 year olds. Okay, so that's the A-level program for those of you who are a bit more familiar with the British education system. And right at the very bottom there, you'll see Paul Daniel, and he's our sort of head of education and innovation, and he's always there to make sure that the learning experience is enhanced through either, you know, technologies or new initiatives that we put on. And he also actually co-founded the school back in 2005, so indeed a very clever man. Okay, so this team of Super Six, I'll call them, they lead over 170 teachers here at King's InterHigh. Our teachers are all fully qualified and trained to teach, not only to teach offline, but to teach in the online environment. And that's really important for us. You know, how we engage, how we motivate, how we assess students, all of those things online is really key. So all of our teachers are not only qualified to teach, but trained to teach online. And about 20% of all our teachers have masters and PhDs. So you're in great, safe hands with subject specialists. Okay, a little bit about King's InterHigh. Can you still see Joshua there on the right hand side? Yeah, okay. I hope so. Oh, there we go. That slide. So as I mentioned before, King's InterHigh was founded in 2005, so way before the pandemic, 17 years ago now almost. And it was inspired by students and families who wanted an alternative form of education, alternative to mainstream schooling. So we've got a few examples there on the screen for you, but one of the examples is Joshua Andrews, and there are many at King's InterHigh like Joshua. Joshua is currently with Crystal Palace Football Academy, and you know, he's pursuing his IGCSE qualifications with King's InterHigh, and he's got a really lovely little quote there that you can see. I won't read out, but it's fantastic. And one of the reasons we're really excited and proud to support IDA is, you know, for the very first time, student athletes can really pursue their dreams and ambitions of becoming a footballer or pursuing their footballing passions at the same time as balancing their education pursuits. So that's really exciting to be able to do both. So since then, we've taught over 10,000 students, and we're now just going to have a look at who our students are in a few seconds. But currently, there are more than 3,500 students here at King's InterHigh, aged between 7 and 18. About 2,000 students are in the same age bracket as you in the audience, or the students that you're working with, between 14 and 18. They are, you know, an incredibly diverse and international student body. About 60% of our students are UK-based and 40% from all over the world, so a very international community. And they're often, you know, ambitious students, but also student actors, dancers, performers, athletes, football athletes, trainees, etc., for whom mainstream schooling was not right for them for various reasons. And so they've come to King's InterHigh for a more flexible and high quality education that's designed around their lives. So, and like any school, we also have values that we promote. In a school like ours, a school without walls, we won't be putting any ceiling on your students' ambitions We're a school that promotes the students' individuality, where every student is valued for the person that they are today and the person that they can become. So you might have seen and heard quite a lot about, health and well-being at schools. Well, we're no different as an online school. In fact, we place even more emphasis on students' well-being. It can be a different experience to learn online and from attending, physical schools. So we really take great pride in ensuring the health and well-being of our students and having a team, a safeguarding and well-being team dedicated to supporting our every student, along their journey. So that's really great. A little bit about how lessons and how we work. So we've designed this to ensure that students get the best outcomes and to ensure that you're going to succeed in your academics. So at King's InterHigh, you'll see 4 different types of lessons for every subject that you take. They're called Learn, or sometimes referred to as Lead, Explore, Apply, and Reflect. So the Learn or Lead lessons are your masterclasses. They're like university-style lectures. Imagine a big virtual lecture hall. Okay, so these lessons introduce you to a topic or a theory, and they're then often followed by Explore lessons. Or actually, they're not often followed. They are always followed by Explore lessons. And these Explore lessons are smaller classes of up to about 20 students in a class, and they allow the students, or you, the students, to take an active part in the learning, to grasp that concept, to grasp that topic or theory through discussions, debates, asking questions, through games, through the virtual simulations, etc. So a really hands-on and active experience in these Explore lessons. And then we have Apply lessons, where you go to apply what you've learnt in the Lead lessons or in the Explore lessons. And here you'll have a chance to really apply your knowledge to complete some homework or some assignments that have been set. So as you can see, up to this point, the student, or you as a student, can get so much support from us as a system, or as a school, as teachers, and it's designed to help you succeed in every topic. And then last but not least, we have Reflect sessions, and these are where you can reflect on what went well and where things can go even better. Okay, so and so for all of those things that we've put in place, our students at King's InterHigh feel very much part of a really strong community. We also have things like weekly assemblies, weekly house competitions, and even some in-school experiences as well that you can look forward to. So your students, or the students, will be part of a very dynamic and not only vibrant community, but also a supportive one, one who really understands, the journeys, the experiences that your students will be going through. So I'm now going to hand over to Gareth, who will introduce you to the subjects that the students can study here at King's InterHigh and what you can expect in terms of academic outcomes. Okay, so over to you, Gareth. Thank you. Gareth, are you on mute or? Gareth, can you hear me? Let's double check. Let's check on Gareth. Gareth? Are you on? I think you're on mute. But okay. Let me, Rick. I think Gareth might need to somehow be able to unmute himself. Gareth, Gareth, can you unmute now? Let me try. Yeah, there we go.
Well done. Thanks very much. Are you going to put those slides back up for me, Miko? Or
Yeah, yes, please. So if you wouldn't mind allowing me again. Sorry for the toing and froing, everyone. Okay, great. So
here we are. Okay, so as Miko's touched on, we are a school that support students from as young as 7 through to 18. Extremely conscious that we don't really want to be focusing on the younger age groups today. So I'll talk to you a little bit about the age ranges between 14 and 18. Some of the terminology in the UK, which you may or may not be familiar with in terms of key stages, and then we can talk a little bit about the subjects and qualifications and outcomes that you could expect to achieve if you were to study with us for a prolonged period of time. So starting off with what in the UK is termed Key Stage 4, but it's for the last 2 years of, I guess, high school in the US, but certainly secondary school in the UK. So when students are between 14 and 16 years old. And at the end of that 2-year period, they will sit a formal examination in normal exam conditions in an exam hall in school, and hopefully have worked hard and come out of that with a set of qualifications. And these are called international GCSEs or IGCSEs. So they're internationally recognised. If you were to attend a normal, if you like, physical British international school, they would be leading you either to an IGCSE or an IB qualification typically. And we follow IGCSE specifications. So obviously it will depend on the programme that you're attending with IDA and the academics that sit alongside that, but there's a range of different subjects up to the age of 16 that you could potentially study with us, as long as we've planned all of that in partnership with IDA and ensuring it fits in with your broader coaching programme. Typically though, this is what will be available to a student who is perhaps studying with us full time, and they would normally sit up to 7 subjects, in fact, between the ages of 14 16, and they would have to take English literature, English language and mathematics, and then have some options and choices from what we will call humanities subjects, so either geography or history, a modern foreign language, which would be French, German or Spanish, and then at least 1 science option, but typically students take 2. So that might be biology and chemistry, it might be chemistry and physics, depending on personal interest and where you might want to progress onto. Not limited, other than by timetable and time in terms of additional subjects and interest areas of study. All of these subjects here you can see listed that are additional: biology, business, chemistry, computer science, and so on. All of those lead to an IGCSE exam and hopefully a qualification and grade. And then to supplement that, and as Miko's touched upon, we offer extracurricular activities and subjects, ideally designed to ensure that for those students who are learning entirely online with us, there is a social aspect to their study. And also areas of interest that they may want to follow, not necessarily leading to a qualification. So that could be art and design, it could be music, it could be computer game development, and so on and so forth. If you could progress on, Miko, that would be great. Great. So I'll talk a little bit about Key Stage 5. This is college age in the UK, so pre-university. And this is between the ages of 16 and 18, and it's a 2-year programme leading to completing with us Cambridge International A-levels. A-levels are the gateway qualification into certainly UK universities, and as an international dimension or an international qualification would also see you into study in the US, across the EU, Australia, or elsewhere across the world. So really giving you that gateway and movement on wherever you might choose to study. A-levels are quite intensive. They're designed to be challenging as a pre-entry to university basis of study. And typically students would sit 2 to 3 A-levels if they were with us full time. And normally following a subject area that they're intending to progress on to study with at university. So if, for example, your interest was in sports sciences, then clearly the sciences of biology particularly and other subject areas may be of interest. This is again supported by extracurricular activities, whether it be common groups and tutor groups, and a range of social clubs that every student can access if they choose to do so. I want to talk a little bit about outcomes. These are important. Ultimately, it's about what results are we able to produce for and help students to achieve. And I'll talk a little bit about this. I think the first thing to mention, certainly from last year's outcomes, is that learning online with King's InterHigh, our students are achieving above normal UK national averages. So what results and outcomes students have been able to achieve attending a physical or bricks and mortar school, as we would term it. In the UK, we have a slightly different grading system at IGCSE. It goes from 1 to 9, as opposed to A to E or A to F. And the way to kind of equate it is a 9 would be an equivalent to an A star star, an 8 an A star, and a 7 an A. And so at IGCSE last year, 44% of those students that sat their exams and learnt with us achieved from an A to an A star star grade, so the highest that they could possibly achieve. Similarly at A-level, 43% of the students that studied with us achieved an A or an A star at A-level. And for those that know the university system here in the UK, you'll no doubt have heard of Cambridge and Oxford, and then kind of below them in terms of tiers of university, we have what we call the Russell Group universities. And that's typically, well, that would be Manchester or Durham or Bristol, so really strong universities here in the UK. And 48% of those students went on to move on to those Russell Group universities. So really strong outcomes, which we're extremely proud of. Talk a little bit about the qualifications because they're internationally recognised. At IGCSE, we largely follow Edexcel international specifications. These are recognised globally. Most international schools will either be following the likes of Cambridge or Edexcel or AQA in terms of the courses themselves. But the outcome after 2 years of study for IGCSE would be to receive a certificate, as you can see an example there. And typically you would have a line of subjects, depending on which subjects you studied, and an outcome from 1 to 9, hopefully achieving 7s, 8s and 9s and upwards. At A-level, again, similarly, students study for 2 years. A majority of our courses follow Cambridge International A-level specifications. And as you can see from the examples here, a certificate is issued by the exam board in the summer each year, and it would look somewhat like this, but with your 2 to 3 A-level subjects listed and your hopefully A star, A and B grades listed alongside that. Just one final word in terms of a good sample of students that studied with us last year and their university destinations here in the UK. So we do have students that study at Oxford and Cambridge, and last year we had a small number that moved on, and one particularly that went on to study at Oxford University at a computer science degree. We have students that venture up north across the borders of Scotland and study at the University of Glasgow, Anglia Ruskin for medicine, Leeds for computer science, and in London, King's College to study history. That's largely all I was going to touch on for the moment. Miko and I are extremely pleased to have been invited to come along and talk a little bit about King's InterHigh and our online school, and we'd be very pleased to answer any questions if anybody has them.
So over to you, Rick. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Sorry, I was just trying to get the get the host back and try to get the audio sorted. Guys, listen, that was really, really insightful and helpful, even from an IDA perspective, as we continue to integrate ourselves deeper into everything that you all are doing and we grow closer together. This was a great opportunity for us to share this with our network, share it with the families within our network, our international partners who are all working with students and counseling them and advising them on their careers. It's just important to us that, you know, everybody knows that this is an option and this is available to them. And, you know, what we're most excited is that we get to work with you when we get to integrate our programs and offer this to our student athletes. So, yeah, so I'll open it up to any questions. Obviously, it was open during the presentation. So, and I didn't see many come through. What I will do is ensure that we send out the recording. We're going to be sharing this. Hopefully, we're going to be cutting and taking some notes and sharing some of the insights. But yes, so I'll give it maybe 30 seconds for anybody to ask a question. If we don't see anything come through the chat, we'll just go ahead and we'll finish the presentation and we'll follow up independently with everyone here on the call. Well, actually, I'll just go ahead and cut it here. I think, you know, no one's going to ask any questions. A lot of information to digest. Like I said, we'll be sending it out, but a big thank you to everyone on the call. And I look forward to reconnecting with everyone. If there are partners here that want more information, they want to connect with Miko or Gareth, we are happy to make that connection. And yeah, we think it'll be a great resource for everyone here. All right. Thank you again, guys, and we hope you have a blessed rest of your week, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks all.
Take care.
Like from London.